this will be pretty rapid fire, drinking from a fire hose style. I'm going to cover two topics that I love, so nerd alert, product management and product marketing. So I've spent the last 3 years doing both and leading teams of, I led a team of 5 product marketers, and I led a team of 11 product managers. At Infusionsoft, we had about 40 to 45 devs, so that gives you a sense of what our product development team was like. Anyway, and so this is going to cover just sort of the high level of product management and product marketing, building software. So there's probably a lot of stuff in here that you guys are familiar with, but maybe there are a few things in here that you can learn from and use. So product management is really all about solving market problems. And this deck is sort of an edited version of the Phoenix Startup Week talk that I gave a few months ago. So there's sort of some product startup crossover stuff in here. So why do we focus on solving market problems? Well, this sort of text analysis of the #1 reason that startups fail, and a lot of reasons products fail, is because they're not actually solving a pain point that someone has, like a true need. And so that's why everything starts with solving a problem. So this quote is from Pragmatic Marketing. They have one of the best product management and product marketing training classes, and what's even cooler is they're local. And they use this quote all the time because being a really good PM means you have to be wrong a lot and be very comfortable in that. Be very comfortable in ambiguity. If you need too much structure, it's not going to work very well. And having opinions and point of view and instinct is really good, but a lot of times the best thing is to be reaching for what your customers need and want and what their pain points are. So I stole this quote from Quora, which I love, and I think it does the best job I've ever seen in a really short amount of text of describing really what a product manager is all about. So there's a key difference between building the product right and building the right product. One of the fundamental abilities, roles of a great product manager is the ability to discover the right products. That amazing product at the sweet spot between what is feasible, usable, and most importantly, valuable. Engineering must have an equal seat at the table to know what is feasible and what disruptive tech breakthroughs are coming available to solve the problem better. Design must also have a seat at the table because they are invaluable in crafting the user experience. So that, to me, just you can sort of visualize in your mind the Venn diagram of product management, design, and engineering. And those are what make some of the best teams. So where do you start with product management or product marketing? You start by focusing on a target market. You can't be all things to all people. It's about focusing and learning how to say no. Once you've picked a segment of the market, whether you're serving other software companies, whether you're serving other businesses or consumers, then you need to go out and talk to people, because the best way to build the best products are to have empathy and to cultivate that empathy and have those real life moments in your mind, those in the day-to-day actions of your users or your customers in your mind when you're thinking through what it is that you want to go out and solve. So talking to people helps you best craft user personas, which are great tools for both marketing but also in product as well. They're sort of caricatures of the users that you're solving. They help you kind of connect all these core attributes. The company that does this the best is MailChimp. Have any of you seen the MailChimp personas? I see a few heads nodding. Yeah. They're up online. They're really great. They did a good job of sort of putting those together. But again, the user personas are there for you to always reference back to and say, if you've got a persona named John, what would John do in this scenario? What is John solving for? How would John feel if he used this in this way? And then do your research. So product managers are nothing if not curious. And so there's that quote that says there's no cure for curiosity, that they're out there constantly learning. So PMs do a lot more qualitative research, interviewing customers, going out and meeting with them, But they also do the quantitative research, industry trends, competitor trends, market trends, consumer trends, whatnot, to be understanding in both a qualitative and quantitative sense, sort of the biggest, highest of the high-level things that are going on in the universe and individual users' day-to-day interactions with your product. So that all happens just to get the context and the lay of the land and get oriented and understanding and cultivating that empathy before build. This is one of my favorite quotes, and I kind of geek out about Tony Fadell a lot too. He's the CEO of Nest. He was a former Apple employee. We got, Nest acquired. He's really rich. Anyway, I love this because I think this is, product development is all about experimentation and learning. And a lot of times there's no better way to do it than to just get out there and try stuff. So once a PM has gone through, done all this research, then it's about being able to prioritize. Because you can't build everything. At least that's what engineering would always tell me. So quantify and prioritize customer and business problems. So notice that it doesn't say features, but it's about getting really clear and specific on what are the objectives that we're out to solve for either for the business to drive revenue or, or mitigate churn, or what are the problems that we're out to solve for our customers, and what are the best ways to quantify that and put some context and shape to it. So some ways are looking at support tickets. Are there some key things that your customers keep calling in about that irritate them that you could solve? Looking at if you do surveys, what are the key points of feedback in surveys? At Infusionsoft, we did Net Promoter Score, or NPS. So we would look at trends there, and we would take top five areas for improvement and try to quantify those things. Cancel reasons is another one. So once you go through that, then I've shared this with the Pure Chat team. I really like this framework of hypothesis-driven development because you don't know what the right answer is. And a lot of times it takes a lot of iteration to actually get to the right answer. So it's about saying, hey, I think that this, solving this problem or, building this capability will result in an outcome. Minimize churn by 1% or, increase revenue or whatnot. And we know we will have succeeded when, there's a measurable signal. So when will we know that we're sort of on the right track here and know that we're getting close to what the solution should be, either for customers or for the business? Once you've done all of that, I love this quote by Marty Kagan. He's sort of the godfather of product management, if you will. He's got a great book and a great blog. So crappy teams miss dates, mediocre teams hit dates, and great teams achieve outcomes. So I like this just because it just is that constant reminder that it's about moving the needle and making stuff that matters. So this I'm sure you're all familiar with, but Marty Kagan also said I went to his workshop a few months ago that the best teams, which I've never seen this happen, will go from idea to prototype in front of customers, 15 to 20 iterations on that prototype, and to something that's built in a week. So this is not a long waterfall process. He talks about this as being something that's incredibly fast, that you're getting out there, you've got a prototype, you're getting feedback on it, and you're iterating on the prototype before you go actually build it. So you know that it's really, it's really usable and really great. And this is, I promise, the last Marty Kagan quote, but I like this as well. Speed is one of the few sustainable differentiators. Learn faster than your competitors. So it's not about being right. It's about learning and not failing, not being wrong, but just saying, okay, that didn't work, next thing. That didn't work, put it in front of customers. Oftentimes what you think is a great idea, your customer doesn't even understand. And the faster you can root through those things and move forward, the better off you are. So then we move on to the build. So I sort of think a good PM is 60% research, all the stuff I talked about at the beginning, maybe 30% in prototyping, working with UX, working with engineering on actually creating the solution, and then maybe 10% product evangelism, so going out there being the champion of your product and sharing it with the world and working with marketing. So build is all about MVP, which everyone in here I'm sure does everyone know what MVP is? Yeah, I'm hoping so, yeah. So it's minimum viable product, and there are a lot of different kind of ways to describe what minimum viable product is. There's the cupcake example. I like the car example. And minimum viable product is all about if you're solving a problem for a customer, let's say I want to get from Scottsdale to Phoenix. What's the smallest, lowest cost thing that'll get me from Scottsdale to Phoenix? A tire, in this example, is low cost and it's small, but it's actually not going to get the job done. A skateboard, on the other hand, will get the job done. It'll just probably take me 4 hours and I might die on the way there. But this is MVP, and then eventually you iterate forward and you get to car, right? Versus a piecemeal approach, which is taking these bits and pieces and then hoping that you come up with the right solution at the end. So as you're building, one of the things you're doing is you're testing for ease of use, value, and delight. So I don't know how many of you have used Infusionsoft. It's a big product. It's great. It's very powerful. But there are some aspects of it that aren't easy to use or delightful, right? So one of the things that I worked really hard on was saying, hey, this functions. How do we make this really beautiful and easy to use? So I just think that that's a really key point, that it's the responsibility of a product manager to be constantly asking those questions. So you ship, you get feedback, you measure results according to the outcome that you originally stated, and you're testing against that hypothesis. We had an idea that this feature or product would solve something for our customer. Is it really doing that? And what can we learn from that? And then this brings you to launch. So this is where product marketing oftentimes comes in. And product marketing is very much rooted in product management in the same way that it's really all about cultivating empathy for the customer and the user and understanding those pain points, because that's how you can do the best product marketing, which I know this is Mead's favorite. This is sort of the classic positioning statement. So any good marketing starts with positioning. How are you unique in the marketplace? And positioning, if that's the foundation, then, from a platform of positioning, you move on to messaging. So while positioning is never anything you really put out publicly, messaging would be. So for a launch or a release, you can create messaging. That really good messaging is about the benefits, not the features. So a lot of times, users, imagine Spotify or even Apple today, a lot of their opening lines at the WWDC conference will be high-level benefits. They won't get into all the bits and pieces until later. So I'm sure Dustin's going to go home and watch that tonight. But for those of you who do, check it out and notice what Apple does when they do the overarching benefits that speak to you as a human and as a person, and then later they get into all the pieces, all the components that make up that benefit that deliver that for you. You're welcome. So what does all that mean? All of that rolls up into telling a story. So any great product, if it's truly rooted in that empathy and it's really solving a market need and a problem, there's a great story to be told there. And that is what builds that emotional connection with prospective buyers, current customers, future customers, what have you. And so all of this, all the mechanics of product really should all roll up into telling a great story. So once a product marketer has sort of crafted the messaging for either a release or a new product, and they've got clear on the story that they're going to go tell, then you can start to craft launch goals that are tied to the outcome that you're reaching for, and then you can break it out by specific audience and then break out tactics by audience, because depending on who you're speaking to, your story shifts a little bit. Not a lot, but just a little bit. And then you launch. Could not have found a better photo for this. And then you keep going because it's just all about constant learning and constantly trying to improve and constantly learning from your customers. So I thought I'd end with just 3 of my favorite product management, product marketing, and just general business books. This one is probably no surprise. It's called Inspired by Marty Kagan. How to Create Products Customers Love. The Hard Thing About Hard Things by Ben Horowitz is awesome. And Predictably Irrational is a great book. It talks about how human beings are irrational. And so as a PM, it's sometimes you like to think that people are logical and they can be, they exhibit patterns, but a lot of times great product insights can come from what we call customer misbehavior, when they're doing weird things and you're like, why are they doing that? Sometimes you can dig in there and actually find really good stuff, so that's a great book as well. And then just for Dustin, I always end all of my talks with a Steve Jobs quote. And I think this one is really important, especially for anyone in product management and product marketing. My old team used to joke with me that I was the best person in the world at saying no to people. I would completely say no to them and blow them out of the water, but they always left feeling good. So any great product manager has to be great at saying no. And to me, it's all about focus. So people think focus means saying yes to the thing you've got to focus on, but that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to 100 other good ideas that are out there from Steve. So that is it.